Now broadcasting from the Next Gen Conservative Studio in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report with Sam Whitfield.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Whitfield Report. I am your aforementioned host, Sam Whitfield, joined here by Shmuley. Max will be joining us shortly. Glad to have you all here. Whether you're watching us live on Rumble or listening and watching to this on Spotify in the past, present, future hour. Lots to get to tonight. We'll be talking a bit about the Ice Cube, stuff with Max and whatnot. He was on Tucker earlier this week. We'll also be talking about the Bronny James thing in regards to the vaccine, and a lot more to get to tonight. But since it is so, I guess, kind of breaking news, quote unquote. More UFO sightings. Are they bullshit or are they real? Shmuley kind of has a take on it, so I guess we'll
Why
just
do you
start
think
right
that?
there.
I've never looked into that in my life.
You just said off air, Shmuley, that you have a whole thing on
Why
UFOs.
are you lying again? No, I looked into it.
Yeah.
First of all, this guy, this whistleblower, David Gersich, right? His story doesn't really add up to me. I was just looking at this today, listening to interviews with him. I mean, at one point he says that there are alien bodies that have been taken from the wreckage of these UFOs, right? And then when he was asked, well, how do you know that these are from a different world? He starts talking about the fucking periodic table and how the metals in them are high up on it. And it's just, to me, I mean, it's possible that he's just kind of, this is a foresight that he had in the moment or something, but like, that doesn't make sense. He's giving kind of really cliche UFO conspiracy answers to things. Right. And he's not even claiming firsthand knowledge, just that he was told by people who are credible in the government, in the military. Now, that might even...
Yeah. Well, I was also told by people high up in the government that guy's full of shit. Anonymous sources, of course.
We have to trust him, but I'm not even so sure that he wasn't told by a bunch of people in the military that there's these ships and they saw the thing or whatnot. Occam's razor would tell me that a lot of people believe in UFOs and a lot of people are in the military, and so I would imagine that a lot of people in the military...
More than you'd think. Like, that's one like weird window. A friend, a long time musician, Satanic, is actually like in the UFO Twitter like community or whatever, and they're all into the disclosure shit. And it's interesting because they're like obsessive about, we got to make sure to get it right, and this guy muddies the water, and that guy, it's fun watching like this other bubble of conspiracy outside of like the normal right-wing stuff. Looks like the UFO people are fun.
Yeah.
I'm just skeptical, like you said. It's like, some guy said it when we were drunk on a Friday night. Well, I can't really divulge the source, and and maybe that guy believes it too. I have seen lights in the sky, right? When I was younger. Sure. I wouldn't say that confirms like, these specific aliens come down and kidnap people and they're from the planet blah, 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 right? Like, I saw lights in the sky and I don't know what it was because I'm used to seeing planes. We got a lot of airports around here. I know it wasn't because it was just like a green light that went wee-oo, right? And I was like, that's cool. And I took note of it and I remember it because it was an interesting thing I saw. But that's like, to me, well, that's what a UFO is. It's like, I don't know what the fuck it was. Maybe nothing, right? Maybe swamp gas, right?
Well, my primary
But I want something more than he said, she said, while they're drinking and playing grab ass at the barracks, right?
exactly, and the current sort of we're on the verge,
Or pictures
fam.
of ducks.
Yeah, we're on the verge, man. It's gonna be released now. Congress is involved, and now it's like it relies on the like authority fallacy, and it relies on me thinking that like the media would be above promoting bullshit for clicks
Yeah.
and
That
not
a lot
caring.
of people believe bipartisan, by the way, so they can
Yes.
get clicks from both sides about this stupid topic.
And they don't care about it because it is not going against anyone's political agenda.
Right.
And so it's safe.
Yeah.
And this goes to show that the media doesn't care about the truth. They care about using control.
Meanwhile, Hunter Biden's over here helicoptering his dick at the camera, holding a crack rock in one hand and banging an underage hooker in the other, on the White House fucking Oval Office table with $1 million from Ukraine to hand to his father, and they're like, "Hey, look at the UFOs."
Yeah, and
Well,
I mean, this might go back to. I mean, this is what Sam was saying, that it's being used as like a distraction.
yeah.
I just Occam's razor it. That
And
like,
how do you distract from something so absurd as the life and times of Hunter Biden? Because it's
I
like
guess little green men.
It's like what was that fucking guy that killed himself? The Gonzo journalist there. Hunter Biden's life.
Hunter S. Thompson?
Yeah. Hunter Biden is like an Hunter S. Thompson character come to life, right? He just lives this ridiculous life, and he sells this garbage art for millions that everybody knows is like a scam to give his dad money or the Biden family. It's all political donors buying his paintings. I'm sure it's because his art is so fucking pretty. This guy is like he's like a Hunter S. Thompson character floating through high society because his dad was a politician.
I was joking with Faye.
This is America, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry.
I was
Look at the pretty UFOs.
I was joking with Faith Vickers once that Xander's figure paintings could be considered like multi-million-dollar art now, because essentially like that's what Hunter Biden.
Hey, he's the son of a celebrity. Even better, he's the exiled son of a celebrity, right?
I just find it funny.
Yeah.
In current year, my edgy sort of like borderline dissident take is that, you know, aliens aren't real and the government aren't hiding them. Right? That's my like out there conspiracy guy theory. You know, as somebody who has a critique of like the cathedral.
If you look into one thing in particular, it makes it seem that way more than any of the UFO people want, and it's silly, but it's true. If you look into the Men in Black theory, you suddenly and not the movie, the actual stuff that the movie's kind of based off of only loosely, where there's these dark, you know, sometimes their actual skin is dark, but usually they just have like dark clothing, suits and stuff and hats, and they don't identify themselves, and they identify being from some branch of the government or another, and they basically tell you shut the fuck up about that alien story you told, and if you don't, we're gonna fuck you up, basically, in so many words, right? And people just shut the fuck up. But how do we even see? Here's the thing: how do we know the Men in Black stories? Because people told them. So does it work? No. So if the government, and I think the government does have thugs or private entities like the fucking Pinkertons. Like we just recently saw that with a magic kid. And that's why we saw it, because it came to nerd culture. So it became mainstream on the internet. But they actually hired goons to come get a magic card from a YouTuber, right? Why wouldn't the government come and bully people about alien stories? I'll tell you why they would do it. Not because there's fucking aliens, but because you're going to tell the story not only of the aliens that you saw, but of the goddamn men in black spooking around your fucking house, telling you things you like. They know everything about you because they're fucking from the government, right? And they're fucking freaking you out and threatening you and making sure that you're scared. So you'll tell the story about the men in black, not only distracting from whatever's in the fucking news, but distracting also from the fucking stupid bullshit alien story, because they need the alien story. They need Area 50. They can't have a storm. When they were going to storm Area 51, the people that were scared of it in the government weren't scared because we were going to learn all the fucking secrets, except that the secrets was there ain't shit there. It's just a lab in the desert, and they got some fucking tissue samples from like China.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, so here's my whole thing with
you need the big spooky Area 51 that nobody can storm, right?
Yeah. Well, here's my whole thing with the whole UFO thing, right? It is UFOs, like, you have to admit that whole UFO thing, as far as like conspiracy goes, like, that's the fun normie conspiracy that you can bring up at parties, right?
Which makes it the best distraction.
And
that's what I'm saying with the Men in Black thing, that for decades, the government has been sending guys out to intimidate people, to not tell their story. And then not only do they tell the story, but they tell the story about the Men in Black.
Yeah, well, and then that got like integrated into pop culture, especially in the late 90s with
so hold on though. If the Men in Black's job is to get you to shut up, why is the story out at all? Why is their story out? Why are people talking about them?
Misdirection.
Right. The whole point is to be like, no, don't talk about the very real alien shit, you dumb Mark.
Yeah, so in one of the James Bond movies I love, Tomorrow Never Dies, I don't know if either of you have seen that one, but essentially the plot of that movie is that there's like a news media mogul who's a terrorist, but he makes up all these stories in his newspaper to basically distract from like what he's actually doing. And UFOs are like one of the main things that he that he prints. Like, it's funny because the most outlandish James Bond movie in the 90s that everyone said was outlandish actually predicted fake news in like CNN and corporate news. I'm not saying that CNN is staging terrorist attacks. They could be, according to this James Bond movie, I guess. But point being is that, like, the media distracts from all of these things that are actually going on. That's
right,
the
and
point.
it's very easy for them to do that, even in the internet age. Most people don't hear about most of the shit that goes on.
Yeah, well, and this was a movie from like 1997, so we were still like at the beginning of, I guess, the internet age, as we
I would call it the information war.
Yeah,
right. Like, literally, Alex Jones' name of his thing is correct. It's always been an info war, but that's bigger than he even like means it, right?
But like, so here's my whole thing with the UFOs that is like, and this is the one question that I've never gotten a straight answer from the UFO people on, because you'll get a million different answers for this one question. Is, okay, say that the aliens are real, right? A, what is their purpose for being here? And then B, why would the government, like,
why wouldn't they just come down and be like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
That would be my question. But
yeah,
it doesn't really matter, because here's what I think. I think the government knows only slightly more than we do about any of this.
Yeah, and
I think that there are, I've seen lights in the sky that I could attribute to maybe being UFOs, right? It is possible in my mind, with the size of the universe, that there is intelligent life somewhere. It's a possibility that there's
Yeah.
a thing, but I don't think the government actually knows shit about it. But I think that it makes good fodder, especially right around election seasons or when, I don't know, your son has the aforementioned crack prostitute crazy
Yeah,
scandal.
or how about when because this was interesting too. I remember right before the Jeffrey Epstein thing happened, like right before it kind of blew up, there was a UFO thing, right?
And
So
next time we'll get full disclosure, guys. I promise.
yeah.
Maybe not this time, right?
I
This time we're
mean,
just going to get some interesting tidbits for you to look at for the next 4 years until the next
yeah.
time. But the next time, I promise, they're going to disclose everything. If you just keep pushing, you UFO truthers
Well,
out there,
Max, I mean, the great whistleblower guy.
get them
I
FOIA
know that
requests going.
I know that it's an evil conspiracy because he sent his book, to the government to make sure he didn't leak any classified information, and they gave him the okay, which because that's what an evil conspiracy would do. They would say, okay, yeah, we're playing by the rules, and nothing you said is technically classified, right? And then people are able to openly discuss it on social media. And when I go on YouTube and I look up this guy's name followed by debunks, I find only 3 videos on the entire platform actually criticizing him.
yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
one of them, to be fair, is News Nation, and the other is the Washington Post, believe it or not.
Oh, well, we all know that the Washington Post is like the absolute gold standard of American journalism.
Clearly.
Right?
Yeah,
clearly.
they're of the highest caliber.
Well, they're the only ones that brought on a skeptic, seemingly that in News Nation, to actually talk to somebody who goes through and at least has some sort of critique of this guy's claims.
Yeah, I mean,
no. Why would you critique his claims? His claims are only fantastical, is all. You don't need. There's not a high standard of evidence for a high standard of claim or anything. This is
Right.
America. You could just be a kook. It's fine. You could just. We had a presidential candidate that was abducted by aliens. Actually, Dennis Kucinich.
Oh my god! Yeah, I forgot. I actually legit forgot that, and now
to believe that to believe this guy's story.
Democrat, by the way.
Max. Now that I think about it, to believe this guy's story, does it require you to be blue pilled on the media and government? That's a prerequisite for believing this UFO.
If the government's telling you aliens are real, they're fake. Just trust me on that. You cannot trust the government. Anything the government says. The government says the government says climate change is a problem. Okay, then and I'm not advocating this position, but the position you'd come to if climate change is actually as big a dire threat as they say would be the exact opposite of the Democrat position. Why? Because you would immediately cut welfare because you need to kill a lot of people.
Well, I mean,
to
reduce the population, so you could. That's the only way, and they know it, but they can't say that, and it conflicts with their only other thing. Their things are domestic policy, right? Are fucking bring in immigrants and welfare. You know what I'm saying? And climate change, and the only way to reduce the consumption levels to a degree that they would be satisfied with is to have less human beings. So why don't they adopt the libertarian position of abolishing welfare? Because that's the position of killing the most people.
If I became convinced of their
in a very short amount of time.
Well, no, if I became convinced of their position on climate change, the only reasonable solution would have to be an engineering solution.
Yeah,
we would have to
for sure.
Yeah, we would have to come up with a way in order to cool our planet, which you totally could fucking do. It would be funny though, because in order to do so would require the use of fossil fuels and other resources.
Right. Yeah, and the Just Stop Oil people, like, their shit is dumb. Have you seen the one where there's a woman trying to take her baby to the hospital and the Just Stop Oil people are blocking the street and she comes and yells at them and they like laughed at her?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's peak optics, dude.
Yeah, they're just like everything those people do is like the worst optics possible. So I don't really that's why we don't talk about shit like that on the show very much, right? Because it's not like anybody who watches a video of them going in and trying to like deface a priceless painting isn't really on their side because it doesn't accomplish anything for stopping oil. That painting's been there for what, 200 years, 400 years.
Jonathan Haidt actually made this argument to like liberals, right?
yeah.
That basically activism is garbage, and the fact that the left, these sort of like left-wing controlled institutions, focus on creating activists is actually like detrimental to society and shooting themselves in the foot because they never end up promoting reasonable change. Things
Right.
are not conducted in the
And there's no end
democratic
point to it.
in the democratic way that they think, and actually it's making these people's lives worse.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is
well,
making them miserable.
yeah, well, I mean, this isn't related to the alien thing at all, but like I remember like in the mid
They cried when we did the straight pride parade because of somebody had an opposing opinion to them. I've told the story of the bitch crying. She's crying just because we had the fucking parade. Now I get it, it's performative, it's for the cameras. She's trying to look like a fucking victim, whatever. But like she's crying at the very prospect of us having an opinion different than hers.
I think that we should
That is making yourself miserable, no?
I agree. I think we should have a little bit more empathy for some of these people because obviously we know that they're sort of magicians pulling the strings and those people truly are malevolent. But a lot of these people they're not capable of fighting back against a narrative that is surrounding them. And the narrative is apocalyptic doom combined with the idea that they can do something if they just commit hard enough, if they whine enough, and they do that and they find that it doesn't do anything, that they're just turning their wheels and they still buy into the apocalyptic narrative.
Right. I'll tell you, like you mentioned finding empathy for the left. I know a lot of people are taking joy in LeBron James having a heart attack, but as a heart attack survivor, his son, I'm sorry, his son, yeah, his 18-year-old son, that's what it was. That's fucking terrible, dude. Like a heart attack is an awful thing, and I take no joy in that just because he promoted the vax or whatever. Like, who cares? Somebody had a heart attack, show some fucking goddamn respect for him.
well,
I'm willing to bet, that these people will say, "Oh, well, he took the vaccine."
So what? It sucks to have a heart attack. Can't you just admit that it's like this is the thing? The anti-vaxxers piss me off because they don't understand. And you see me get into this argument time and time again, especially Shmuley. You see me all the fucking time. Heart disease is the number one killer in America, and it has been forever, as long as they've been keeping track. And it kills a lot more people than you fucking think, And it does kill younger people and shit, and it sucks.
There's a lot of different factors that could contribute to an increase in that statistically.
And even if it's from the vaccine, it sucks.
Yeah. It sucks.
So
it's also
he's a kid. He's 18. Like, fuck anybody that finds. All I'm saying is anybody that finds joy in it, right? Because of fucking sour grapes.
Yeah.
Kind of fuck you. You know what I'm saying?
No, and thanks for kind of pivoting to that because I was going to bring that up. Yeah, because look, my whole thought on it, it's real fast, is all these like the narrative I've seen on Twitter, and granted I follow like a lot of right of center people on Twitter, but kind of the response I've seen is, well, this is the vax and I told you so.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of empathy. I see a lot of I told you so.
Yeah, I now look, I did not get the vax, myself, okay, I get the skepticism of the vax. I don't like that it was forced on anyone.
That was the biggest thing for me. You're gonna
I
force this shit on people, and also like I've been saying about the Ice Cube thing, outing people's status. Not you. You
Yeah.
just saying it there is one thing, right? But Ice Cube tried to keep this shit quiet to himself, right? And they outed him anyway. LeBron James famously was like very pro-vax, and so now they're gonna take joy in this fucking young guy
Yeah.
having a heart attack. Now, I do believe that there is some data to suggest specifically the Pfizer vaccine has correlation with blood clots, and blood clots, as anybody that
Sure.
knows anything about cardiovascular cause heart attacks, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
And I think that those people, here's the problem I have with anti-vaxxers. They don't have empathy for the vax afflicted because of I told you so.
Well, it
They're
also
so quick to I told you so that they forget that these people were victims of a fucking propaganda machine at the very least.
yeah, well,
If you think that everything was wrong and they fell for it, then isn't that sad?
yeah, well,
Well,
and it's
go ahead. Sorry. I
Oh.
just, it frustrates me the logical jump from anyone who now has an enlarged heart, it is due to the vaccine. Like,
Yep.
how is this logical? Like, what you would need to show me is just that, like, any data suggesting that the rate has increased substantially.
Yeah.
That doesn't use like a deceptive time scale or the way you make the chart, right?
I do think it's within like the margin of like a normal problem for a vaccine, unfortunately. And I do think that Ice Cube made a good point. It was kind of a rush job. That's why I said nobody should ever be forced to take it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I agree that no one should have been forced to take. We all, I think, agree with that here. My only contention is that I don't think that it's close to the only variable that could even create the increase. But first, I would need data that there actually is an increase before I just jump to the conclusion that there's been an
Right.
increase. The other thing we would need to look at, and this would be relatively difficult because of the amount of people who caught COVID, is that COVID doesn't do this disproportionately to people, right?
Right. And that's another variable that could account for the same problem. But I'm willing to go with that there might be vaccine, harm victims out there. And for that,
It's a known side effect.
For that, I don't think that they deserve fucking like scorn.
Oh, I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Especially
really
a heart attack at 18. That's a crushing thing,
Yeah.
right? That changes a man's whole life.
Well, yeah. I mean, so
And as like based right wingers, right? As like red pilled gamers, we should not jump to this like, oh, this 20-year-old girl or this 18-year-old athlete kid, he deserves it because he fell prey to a propaganda tactic. He fell prey to a giant ecosystem with literally $1 trillion designed to misinform and push a political agenda. That just seems kind of crazy and like blue-pilled and egalitarian.
Yeah, it's well, this is the flip side of the if you don't take the vaccine, you want grandma to die, right?
If you take the vaccine, you deserve to die. That, and I've gotten that from literally people I considered, friends, at least on the internet, for years.
Yeah, I mean, but that was
I'm not dead, and I took it, and it's like, first off, it's like I had my fucking reasons. I made my decision, and if you want to know the truth of it, it's because my cardiologist gave me a pretty good rundown, and what he said has borne fruit. If you look at the fucking data that we do have.
Yeah.
The biggest amount of problems, he said that Pfizer, it was a slam dunk in terms of communicability, in terms of a vaccine, right? So it was like 90% or something like that. That's what he thought it would be. It was a little less than that. but it would have problems. The J&J, Johnson & Johnson, he said just don't even bother with that because they've restarted it like 3 times. He said he took the Moderna. Okay, and my cardiologist took the Moderna, and I was like, all right, okay, if I'm gonna take one, I'll take the Moderna because I was for it all along for myself. Okay, and this guy was like, well, you're gonna die from it, and I'm like, well, maybe, I guess. I don't think so, and I'm still here, and he's still like talked shit about the same thing because he's stuck in this position. He can't even He can't even be friends without trying to have a debate about it. You know what I'm saying? It's
Max,
a stupid thing.
Well, Max, you're just a weakling sheeple because you took the vaccine and you bent the knee, right?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
It was your personal choice, but you bent the knee, right?
Yeah, I had literally no mandate on me whatsoever for anything.
Yeah.
So I just thought, look, I said from the beginning that my solution to this would probably be if they put out a vaccine, I'll probably cop it pretty early. I said that like right out the gate. I also said that they needed to come up with like treatments outside of a vaccine. And wouldn't you know it, there's like 50 therapeutics on the market now, some of which were mentioned, like ivermectin before. And, if you get COVID, yeah, it sucks. Like 2 people on the show have had COVID recently. All right. And they both survived, even if it sucked.
One did take ivermectin, and it's not horse paste. It helped me feel a lot better too.
Right.
I mean, so yeah, in regards to the
once therapeutics hit the market, the only reason for lockdowns was like we don't know about the hospitals or whatever.
Yeah, well.
And then it was like, okay, we got therapeutics on the market. We got a vaccine for people who want it. We're good to go. No one tells you. The thing is, there was old people forcing you to wear masks. Nobody tells you not to wear masks anymore, right? The people who wear masks, it's not even like people are like looking at them like they're weird. Nobody cares.
Right.
Everybody's just so done with it that nobody gives a fuck that you're wearing a mask. So your virtue signal fails in public.
Yeah, I mean,
when I see it now, I honestly assume that they're sick.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I assume that they have the cold or whatever. That's what people in like Asia have done for decades, right? Like,
yeah,
you wear it if you're sick.
Some people around in a crowd that might have a mask on in Asia, and I expected it to be the same here, but it's not because they're sick here. It's either a germaphobe. Germaphobes latched onto COVID like a fucking, because they already were predisposed to live like that, or B, virtue signaling Karen that's mad y'all ain't wearing masks. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I mean,
I wonder which is more common though. Probably the Karen, right?
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, it's this whole thing with LeBron's kid. It's the flip side of the coin, right? Because before you had I had Karens screaming at me like, you're going to kill grandma if you don't. You're going to kill your grandmother if you don't wear the mask, and you're going to kill your grandmother if you don't get the vaccine.
Right.
We told you so, and now it's the flip side with the anti-vaxxers, where it's like,
you should have told them that the mask is why you're in the wheelchair.
I
got polio, bitch. Now you got it too.
No, I honestly,
I would 100% do that. All the time.
No, you know what? You know what I did was I did use the excuse like I have breathing problems if I wear a mask. So,
bro, I at the hospital, right? I did my yearly I think it's like bi-yearly stress test for my heart, right? They get you running on the treadmill. The motherfuckers made me wear a mask. I got a way worse score because of it, because you can't if you're running at the top speed, because that's what the test is. It's literally testing your limits, running your most cardio possible. And I score really high on that thing every time because I mean to, because that's like what I train for. I don't train for the fucking Olympics. I don't.
Yeah.
I train for my stress test so that I can ace that shit. And I couldn't with a mask. I got like 8 minutes, which is like better than average, but it still sucks compared to I usually get like 10 to 12 minutes, which is like pro athlete tier.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed, but it's because I'm fucking wearing a mask trying to run
Oh,
with all this shit hooked up to you.
well, also like, and I'm
Dumbest thing I've ever seen, right?
yeah. Well, also like if you live here in Florida or really anywhere here in the South in the summer where it's really hot and humid, I mean, yeah, this summer has been ungodly hot. I'll admit that, but at least we don't have to wear masks. When it was summer and we were all forced to wear masks outside, good God,
And nobody
everyone,
nobody wants to go back to that. I'll tell you, this month alone, I mentioned I was out camping. This past week we went to Kitty's Day down here. It's a little festival. The fire department's raising money or whatever.
yeah.
And they have music and they have rides and games and cotton candy. And my boy did it all. I'll show you. He got a picture with all the Spider-Men. So they had Spider-Man, and it was a white guy in a fucking Peter Parker outfit. They had a black guy as Miles Morales, and he kind of looked like him too. And they had a fucking blonde chick who was Gwen Stacy. And my boy even did the Spider-Man pose on the ground with him. And he was fucking awestruck. He met Spider-Man, and he high-fived Miles because Miles, he likes Miles. Miles is a Spider-Man
Right,
for a
yeah,
certain
yeah.
generation. But yeah, nobody. I didn't see anybody in masks. Nobody fucking cared. And another thing, I sent a video into the Gilded. There was a country music singing broad as like the highlight act right before the fireworks, right? Because it's just a free concert. She's actually somewhat famous. She's a senator's daughter, a former senator, Scott Brown. It's his daughter, Ayla Brown. She's a country singer, and she was on American Idol, and she was pretty good for. I'm not a country guy, but she was pretty good. My boy like had a crush on her. Not even kidding. And then at the end,
Chad.
he went up and fucking like got her attention and was like, she gave him like glow sticks and shit. But she sang, oh my God, she sang that one fucking song. It's like, that don't mess with the USA. We'll put a boot up your ass. And she even didn't say ass because it was Kids Day, but
Yeah.
and then everybody there literally goes USA, USA. And I'm bro, there was people of all colors and creeds there, I'll tell you that much. That's normal America, right? There's a summer festival and people are playing patriotic music, and so everybody chants USA. Yes, in 2023. I don't know where y'all nerds are at. That everybody around you is a liberal. Get the fuck out of there. I'm in Massachusetts of all places. Y'all, no, the fuck is...
As friend of the show,
touch grass.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as friend of the show, Genius Anus likes to say, y'all motherfuckers need to touch grass every once in a while.
Seriously.
They also need to touch some ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not like Leafy. By the way, I want to talk about the Leafy thing, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Leafy was defending Nick Fuentes, but that's not even
that?
It's some dude who used to make like commentary videos, but he was way too edgy, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Elon Musk unbanned him on Twitter. And so he's back and he sided with Nick Fuentes in a debate.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that's important, because I even got like special on the ground testimony. So Leafy was making tweets about one thing. He said is he would fuck a girl with a dick as long as he didn't have to suck their balls or something gay like that. And then two, he said another tweet that made him look really gay, and I don't remember what it said. But then he tweeted a picture of an ass on his keyboard with him grabbing it, right? And I had my wife take a look at this picture to get the female perspective, and also not an internet person, right? What do you think? And she says she thought it's a boy's ass, like a younger guy, like a cat boy or something. She said that's not a girl's ass. So, and I agree. I think that is Nick Fuentes' supple young ass in Leafy's hand there. But either way, this eyewitness testimony from a look at the evidence from a normal human female suggests that Leafy is a homosexual. And I didn't present any context to her, who Leafy was, none of that shit. I said, look at this picture. What do you think? And she said, is that a boy's ass?
Is
so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The case is settled. Leafy is a homosexual.
The last I heard about Leafy, he was like debating Ralph, or like
he debated Ralph on the premise was he was going to be a neutral debater, and then he just took Nick Fuentes aside. And the funniest part is he called in to Sam Hyde for help, and Sam basically responded like, "Don't pull me into your messes, motherfucker." Because Sam's got bigger shit going on. I think they just wrapped up $1 Million Extreme.
Yeah. Well, I mean, good for Sam Hyde.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Hyde, then.
It's gonna be fire. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows
I'm so excited. He's got the whole cast back.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people know him, you know, because he's kind of the front man for the group. But I mean, he's got all of the original cast, and I feel like they've really come a long way.
Yeah.
Because the stuff that Nick and Sam have made since the show, that are like actual like full length skits, I think have been funnier than anything on the show.
Now, when you mean Nick, you mean Nick Mullen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Nick Rochford.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he got the whole original cast together. And it's gonna be awesome. And I don't think, he's right. Like, I don't want to get dragged in. I don't know, like, why he would side with the cat boy. That seems like gay in itself. And then his defense of it is he read the tweet somebody said, and he said he didn't know the word bussy. And I press X to doubt on that. Because of that, to me, that makes me believe he's totally gay. Because if you play video games or if you're fucking online at all, you've come across the term bussy. You might not like it. You might not use it, right? But you've come across it. And when somebody says you're holding on and it looks like you're holding a butt and they say you're holding on some bussy, and it's because it looks like a boy's ass. And even my fucking wife, the first thing out of her mouth is that's a boy's ass. Leafy said he could track down the individual and prove it. I doubt you could prove it. Even if you found a person to say it's their ass, we're going to have what? DNA comparison? Are we going to have fucking forensic file style zooming in to fucking make sure it's the same ass?
All right. Bring it up, Sam. We got to look at it.
No.
All I'm saying is that's the final say on it. I also have one other thing.
We need Kurt back on the show so we can have him look at it.
He needs to look at the ass. So I did an experiment with the different streaming sites regarding cam girl featurage, right? And I got some really interesting results.
Let's hear them.
I wrote them down. So obviously the criteria for this experiment was very simple. I ran it once if I had an account, normal, right? And then again, incognito from a different computer. Okay, so that like I would get different results from a fresh account. Mind you, a fresh account, it doesn't know if you're 18 plus, right?
Yeah.
You could just be a child on their website. It doesn't matter. And so obviously Twitch was a fail. Obviously the first thing that pops up on Twitch is a cam girl. In this case, it was booby painting, which is what inspired the whole experiment to begin with. Because I was like, why is there booby painting on Twitch? So then I did Twitch again. Incognito, and it clearly assumed that it didn't know my age. So it passed. Twitch passed incognito. So something about it, maybe it just knows my age, and it's like, here's titties. You'll like titties. Everybody likes titties, but not really on the home page, the front page, the first thing, right? these fucking cam girls.
No,
So-
Max. What you don't understand is they know you're the host of the Whitfield Report, and they know I like titties. So
Okay, well now you can learn for everybody like me that's like, which site is going to show titties if my kid stumbles on it, right? Or for everybody like Sam that's like, which site's going to show me titties? This survey can show you. Mind you, I repeated the results multiple times across multiple things, and so I came to these results. Kick when I was signed in, okay? Big fail because Amaranth was the first thing.
Who's that?
The biggest
So-
cam whore in the world for any site ever. And
yeah,
she was sitting there in a bikini and just being like, haha, $5, thank you.
she's not a porn star, but she might as well be at this point.
Right.
Well, I think
She
that-
does streams where she showers, she does streams in hot tubs, she does streams where she blows bubbles in bikinis, that kind of thing, you know?
the stuff that like we'd get way more views if Sam did.
For real. We need
You know what I mean?
we need a Sam Ranth as a parody character for the show. Somebody write that down, audience. Okay,
Yeah.
so Kick Incognito, right, with no account signed in, every time is a bigger fail, right? Because it doesn't know what age I am and it gives me Amaranth. So it doesn't know if I'm a fucking child, and the first thing it gives me is titties. Right in your face. Rubbing up against the screen, baby. Big old titties. So Sam,
Okay.
you might want to keep Kick in mind, is all I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
YouTube, pass, obvious, right? Because there's not going to be titties right in the front page of YouTube. Incognito YouTube, pass, obviously. Odyssey, pass, right? Because Odyssey really is the stream site for nerd shit. If you're looking for like really esoteric nerd shit, Odyssey's the place to be.
Yeah, amen.
Incognito Odyssey, also a pass. TikTok, incognito, because I don't have a TikTok account, correct? Pass. And it was a big
Really?
pass. It was a big pass because I kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling this motherfucker. And I didn't get anything even approaching a cam girl through like 100. She said, I asked my wife how many scrolls through a TikTok would be reasonable. And she said 5 for a short or 20 for a long. And so I did like 100 and I didn't get anything close to cam girl.
That's kind of shocking for TikTok, considering how much other garbage.
But I think it has to do with age verification, and that's why I say Kick is the biggest fail of them all, because it shows Amaranth to anybody that goes to their fucking their main page, whether you have an account proving that you're of age or not.
I would posit that when I was on TikTok, that I never really had a problem with like that level of nudity and hoarseness, right? Like that wasn't what became in my feed. Now, dumb dances, you know, I was accosted by constantly. There was definitely content where I was just like, where are your parents?
Yeah.
But in terms of that level of like, I'm just gonna be
a whore.
Yeah, that wasn't really a thing.
And by the way, my criteria for this, and I even explained it to my wife while I was doing it, my criteria for what I considered like cam girl shit was, you know, when you see it, just like porn, right? It doesn't have to be porn. It could be the girl talking in an ear, right? And she's talking real close and licking the ear.
Yeah.
That's porn.
Yeah,
that's not porn, but like cam girl porn.
Yeah,
right?
the ASMR shit. Yeah.
Which is what I was looking for. Now, last but not least on our list, and I skipped it in order on purpose, is Rumble. So Rumble on my main account was a pass. Rumble Incognito, I had to test more than any of them because it failed the first time.
Really?
It was an Asian girl with a bikini on doing a dance in like row number 1 of Rumble's front page.
Wow,
and so I repeated the test incognito again and again, and it didn't get the same results. But the first time I did, and I can't omit that because it's possible then that on Rumble, without an account, so it doesn't know what age you are, it's possible you could get served up a cam whore video pretty easily. If I did it in the first attempt, I was unable to recreate it in subsequent attempts. I did 3 or 4. Okay. But if the first attempt, that means a kid, if they do 100 attempts, they're going to see titties. Is all I'm saying. Rumble. This is a problem you need to look into.
Well, that is interesting because, like, I've actually read Rumble's like content in TOS, and
As have I.
they specifically mentioned that like the content like that, even bikini stuff is not what
It had an Asian title, and it was an Asian woman in front of water, like an ocean or something.
Yeah.
And she was just dancing and lip syncing to a song and shaking her titties. That was my first incognito, mind you, no account attempt on rumble.com. And it was in the first row. And all I'm saying is, if I got it like that and a kid tries and tries and tries again, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something you could look into is all I'm saying. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as Kick. Kick is the big loser in this.
Yeah.
Or the big winner if you want to go just see some easy titties. But they're Amaranth's titties, and so you got to kind of be into dirty hoes to begin with. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I'm not I'm not into dirty hoes. Personally. So that's why I did the test. And also because I got a kid and I was just curious. It's like, which one is going to just show me titties? Right?
Well,
let alone inappropriate content otherwise. Just titties.
Well,
that's
also,
the easy one.
I think not to bring. I only bring them up in this. I only bring up the gump for this specific purpose. But we're talking the music copyrights, right? That's like, again, I'm just waiting for the countdown on, when Rumble will ban him for.
Yeah, are they DMCA compliant or not? Because if they're not, I'll do a radio show up in this bitch.
Yeah, if they're not, like,
if they're gonna take liability for that, cool. Let's go.
Yeah, if they're gonna take liability, then I might as well like break out the old Dire Straits bumper music I had for this show.
Nah, I'll do a classic hip hop reviews.
Yeah, let's
go. I like the meringue bands, right? And I always wondered about doing that because they have an official like YouTube channel, but it's North Korea, and I just wonder, like, would North Korea defend their fucking intellectual property claim?
Well, I know a couple MAGA rappers who'd be fine with us, or like related to that would be fine with us playing their music now. But I'm saying if Rumble doesn't respect DMCA at all, then why not have a radio show? Or are they gonna put their foot down on this shit? I don't know. But I think the titties is a bigger problem than Ethan Ralph, and that's tough because he's a big guy.
But you know what? I mean, that guy has titties, so maybe
he's got double the titties.
Yeah, that's true.
That's like, that's not cool. You know what I mean? You shouldn't make fun of him.
On account of what? What? Because people like him now because he's going after Nick.
Because no, just that's mean and like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about much of that. But I do know that Kick needs to get its shit in order more than anybody, and that was my survey for the week. I did some journalism, but I spell it all weird.
Can I just like loudly interrupt Sam for no reason?
Yes.
Sure, go ahead.
I just did.
Yeah, he got it out of his system. Try again, Sam.
Okay, well, since we were going to bring this up,
can I loudly interrupt Sam?
Motherfucker. Okay. And now we're doing amateur radio. See, last week we joked about doing amateur podcasting. This week we're actually fucking doing it.
Well, yeah, but that's the kind of bit that's funnier if we both do it in synchronicity, though.
But no,
Can't really do it again.
Well, so one thing.
Not on purpose, anyway.
What we were going to talk about though, at the top of the show, and instead we're getting into it in the middle of the show, was Max, your boy Ice Cube, sat down with Tucker.
Yeah, it was a fucking pretty good interview too, and they're gonna do like a second part at, I guess, Ice Cube studio in LA, which is dope.
Which is so like I actually have been like watching a few of the podcasts, and I've actually been reading up on Ice Cube because admittedly, like I didn't know, like I knew a little bit about NWA.
He's like the godfather of gangster rap more than any, like NWA, as a premise is awesome, and like all the guys in it did a lot else, even like the DOC and stuff, but like Ice Cube for me was like the soul of it because he told stories of the gang life better than anybody because he's from that area, but he wasn't in a gang. He just buried friends, right?
Yeah.
And he told the story better than anybody. And yeah, the first thing they had to say coming from the streets was fuck the police because, like, bro, it's hard out there if you're a young black guy in South Central LA. Anybody telling me otherwise is full of shit. And like I said, if Ice Cube wasn't like actually like a hardcore gangbanger, I'm not saying he was fucking innocent. I'm saying he wasn't like, running with an actual gang at the time.
No.
And it was a critique of the fucking life in the streets. If you listen to it, I don't know, maybe as like an old school hip hop, like fucking radio nerd, I have a take, but he invented a style that looks at life on the streets that we now know as gangster rap. That's gone in a completely different direction. Him, the Ghetto Boys, and like Ice-T, like really pioneered this genre. But Ice Cube took it to another level, even beyond NWA. If you listen to his solo records or like West Side Connection, like I've been a fan. I was a music producer. I'm a music like nerd. So like from that perspective, it's hard to top Ice Cube as a musician.
Yeah.
I know most people know him from his movies, but if you're a hip hop head, like Ice Cube is like 101.
No,
right? Or like LL Cool. It's like Ice Cube, LL, fucking like Lords of the Underground, fucking Onyx, Wu-Tang, obviously. But like Ice Cube's at the top of the fucking old school list.
He had
a unique voice to speak to it. And his delivery, like he gets you from the nuts, and like that's like he points that out in songs about other people. Like you fucking don't rap from the nuts. You're fucking kind of a bitch.
So what do you think? I mean, I know it
just brings that gritty, raw realism, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So I mean, he's a Tucker, but I've noticed that he's also been doing like a bunch of podcasts.
Oh
lately.
Yeah. I watched the one. I went back. I don't watch much Rogan, but obviously I had to watch Ice Cube, and that was really good.
I watched that one too. Surprisingly, I haven't watched Bill Maher's podcast with him yet, but. So my question for you is, like, we did talk about the Vax thing a little bit with him, but it seems
the first and foremost is they did him wrong by outing his personal medical decision, right? And beyond that, there's very little they can do to compensate him for that. TMZ shouldn't be reporting on a motherfucker's personal medical history. I don't care if it was a contract thing; they should have just shut the fuck up. And as soon as I heard that they didn't, as soon as I heard the fucking story, what went through my head, we won't copyright infringe, but what went through my head was the first fucking 4 chords of fucking doo because that's what Ice Cube does when he's about to fuck somebody up.
I mean, he seems rightly like pissed off.
At
at the at the
He
media.
was ready to give up that $9 million, but he didn't want to be in the public eye about it. It was his own business. And people just need to shut the fuck up about other people's own personal medical, especially. Like he even said in the Joe Rogan, like, how is this not a violation of like a HIPAA or an OSHA law?
Yeah.
Something.
Well, and also, I mean, a lot of people glossed over this, kind of even with the Tucker thing. But at one point, like Tucker directly asked him about like, what did you think of Obama? And Ice Cube said something that I've actually heard a lot of black people say, like, that I know personally, of like, man,
nothing fucking changed.
Yep, man, man, I thought he was going to be good. I thought he was going to be good, being the first black president, and nothing changed. In fact, like, now I don't know that Ice Cube said this, but like I've actually heard black people, like my friend Will, actually say, who's black and from New York. He actually said that race relations got worse under Obama, and that's a black man saying that about the first black president.
Yeah,
and
look, BLM was born under Obama, not Trump.
Yeah,
right. Ferguson happened under Obama.
You mean black coded?
Yeah.
Well, and no, you don't. No, you don't. That was a joke.
Yeah, no, it's just like Ice Cube speaking on like shit that's not even political. That's why it resonates with a lot of people.
Well,
right, Sam, and he hits on a very specific demographic that doesn't usually even fuck with politics. And I'll tell you this much, because of all these podcasts and promotions, I went and watched a game from the Big Three. Right, it wasn't live. I watched like a repeat of it on the internet. But that shit is entertaining as fuck. So the Big Three, and he really doesn't even hammer home how cool it is whenever he talks about it. Like Ice Cube tends to undersell himself and his shit. That's kind of one of his endearing qualities. But anyway, some of the NBA players that didn't want to get the shot are playing in the fucking Big Three. And that's actually some like, I don't follow modern NBA because of all the bullshit, but it's some of the top players in the NBA are actually playing for the Big Three right now. And it's competitive 3-on-3 basketball. So it's a different like than 5-on-5 like the NBA. So they got these teams of three, and some of them are like all-star fucking teams from the NBA. They just gave him all this amazing talent to work with to do this alternative league that, quite frankly, was more entertaining to watch than an NBA game has been in a long time, because it's fucking faster. The court is smaller because it's 3v3. It gives each guy a lot more time to shine with the ball rather than passing it constantly, right? You see a lot more dunks and layups and things like that. It's a bit more like street ball vibe to it. It definitely, and look, if you ever played street basketball, you probably played 3v3 because that's the most common way people play in the streets. It's hard to field a team of 5v5 for like a full court game because you have to have like a bigger court to do 5v5 properly, right? And like most people just play 3-on-3 or 2-on-2 and shit like that, right? Maybe 4-on-4 if you got a couple extra people. And so like doing a 3-on-3 league makes a lot of sense. And to get these top talent guys, and even the ones that aren't NBA guys, they're now in a talent pool with guys that are, right, actual professional basketball players. And so it's put up or shut up. And it's, the other thing is, like they said in the interview with Tucker, it's it is the things the NBA claims to be. Like, it is a certified black-owned business, right? And they're not putting Black Lives Matter on the court. They don't have to. They're just creating a game Ice Cube thinks is fun to watch.
Yeah.
Reveling in the black culture that he's grew up in and is a part of.
A lot of people kind of miss this, but like Ice Cube actually did diss Ice Cube actually did diss BLM without actually like dissing him, because Tucker asked him about.
He said they took the money. He said all of them take the money, and he ain't wrong. Nothing. everything he said about politicians was spot on the fucking money.
Yep.
You know, I have the exception of Trump. He disagrees with that premise, but even he will admit, and I'm sure maybe in the next interview he will, that Biden wouldn't talk to him and Trump had him over and talked about it. Right.
Yeah.
At least, I could say that because turning down Ice Cube is a pretty big snub in my eyes for Biden. Ice Cube just wanted to talk about issues in his community. And that's what he was talking about with Tucker. That's why he was literally driving Tucker around, showing him the place. And he's like, it's only gotten worse since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And that's true. We all know that's true of LA. You don't have to be a fucking genius, and you don't have to have a political fucking radical ideology to fucking know that LA is a shithole. And the parts of LA that are the biggest shithole are the ones that they rustle off all the black people into.
Yeah.
And it makes it harder for them to get fucking jobs because there ain't no jobs in the local community. And then a riot happens and the few jobs that exist are gone too. Look at Minneapolis. It's fucking awful. It's a terrible thing. And Trump at least fucking pays lip service to the fucking problem. That they've been saying for years, if you fucking want to take a chance, you could vote for Democrats and get the same results you've always gotten. And Ice Cube put it eloquently. They all feel that they have gotten the same results from Democrats. Try something different.
Well, that I actually remember, like, that was one of Trump's big, that was one of his.
He did better in the black demographic both times than anybody ever expected for a Republican.
Well,
granted, that's still single digits, okay, but that's because the black community is just a stronghold for Democrats. But he made more inroads than Mitt Romney ever did, and he certainly made more than John McCain.
Bush. And I remember he literally, I remember in the third and final debate with Hillary Clinton, this is where, in my opinion, he absolutely killed her, because there was something about there was something about the black community, and Hillary basically made the same old dumb thing about, well, we need to invest, more in the black community and, improve education and yada, yada, yada. And Trump said, well, you've heard Hillary talking about that for years, but what has she actually done? And he basically said, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
For voting for me.
And the thing is school choice, and I don't think he yet pushed it hard enough. That wins over a lot more black people than you think, because they can choose then to send their kids to better schools. And it matters to a hell of a lot of people, I think. School choice is just a better way of doing things. And these bad schools, they're going to close bad schools. Maybe those bad schools deserve to close.
Yeah.
Teachers union be damned. They're going to strike over that kind of shit. But here's the problem, okay? We can't do it the way we're doing it. These kids, you can't even blame it that a large segment of African-American students who graduate college are only functionally literate. Right? They can write their name, they can sign checks, they can write basic shit, they can text on a phone, right? But they're functionally illiterate. They don't read books. It would be hard for them to finish a book.
I mean,
by all the metrics of literacy, they're functionally literate, right? At the bare minimum. That's school district's fucking fault, and they pass them like that. I mean, and they push it through, and they keep doing the same shit over and over and over again. At some point, you as a parent look at that shit, and if somebody says, hey, here's a golden ticket to send your kid to whatever school you want, and we'll cover busing.
I mean, to be fair,
go tour a couple schools in the surrounding community and see where you want your kid to go. And everybody gets that.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, and to be fair, I know a lot of white kids who are also barely, function.
Yeah, but it's staggering because under these inner city schools specifically, and it just so happens there's not a lot of white kids in them, okay? But these underperform, and that is partially because of this Democrat. The old meme was Democrats is the real racist is cringe because you can't point it out because it's been said so many times before. But I don't think normies have really been presented with it in such a way. it is because like they like having Kanye at one point before he went completely off the rails put it what rightly they wanted them having on a voluntary plantation,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
in
I-
the ghetto.
Look, man, like
But they're
it
not
needs to be
farming
pointed-
cotton, they're farming votes.
It needs to be pointed out, right, that their policies are not going to bring these people better material conditions. And we need to recognize that we've failed to sort of formulate an agenda that will and actually set about implementing that
Right.
agenda and making it clear. It is us, right, that have to do this simply because we're the only people who aren't inculcated with ideas that make it impossible.
Right.
The left, the problem is that they have successfully implemented all of these ideas that they wanted to implement from the 60s. We're gone through 70 years now. They have so many bugaboos that if you go to criticize some portion of the system, you have to do so with surgical precision,
Right.
not to offend them.
Yeah, or
Because
risk
if you
getting
start-
run the fuck out
Because
and
let's talk about
and the door shut behind you.
let's talk about the issue in the Black community, fatherlessness.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the thing. Is like I live in a bubble of exceptions, okay? And I know a lot of Black fathers that are really, really good. So I
Yeah.
wanted to start the conversation by saying like some of the best fathers I know personally in my everyday life are Black guys.
Yeah, I would like
Right.
to see data because I'm willing to bet the outcomes for Black kids that grow up in a two-parent household and their father is involved in their life are going to be substantially better than the outcomes of
Granted,
the
they're
ones
all
raised by single mothers.
they're
I-
all either sports guys or military guys or
well,
both. Right?
and I
But-
actually sorry to interrupt. I actually have a statistic about that. So Bo Snerdley, or James Golden, that's his real name. He was the producer for Rush Limbaugh for
Right,
the
okay.
entirety of.
Yes.
I know you two both know that. I'm just informing the audience. But I remember he used
and he's
to
a
do,
Black guy.
Yeah, he's a Black guy. He used to do a skit during the Obama years called Bo Snerdley, the official EIB criticizer, certified Black enough to criticize
Yeah.
Obama. The shtick was that, Rush being a white guy could not criticize Obama since he was white, so they would always have Bo Snerdley do that. And one of the things that Snerdley pointed out was that during before the 60s, before LBJ's Great Society came into effect, Black fathers were more involved in the household.
Yeah. No, that's
And-
true.
And so they're
The welfare state is what it replaced dads actually, and
Yeah.
it's not unique to the Black community anymore.
right.
The average white rate of single parentage is like 62, which is on par
But
with
to
the
get-
Black
Yeah.
community.
To get back to my point is that like
And the welfare
in
usage
order-
rates are about the same across race, just to be like per capita.
in
Yeah.
order to really address the structural issues that have occurred in their community over this period of time, it kind of requires a critique of the sexual revolution.
Yeah.
It requires a critique of culture. It requires a critique of victimhood, right?
Well, and the most
And
effective
dependency.
critique there I've found is like the two tax household, right? Two taxable income household. The government wants that bad. That had more to do with the sexual revolution than anything else. Get women out of the house and working, and then you have two taxable incomes.
Now there's
Simple
overlap.
as that, And then other people
Exactly.
have different agendas that they can piggyback off top of that. but like that's the basic premise. Get women out into the workforce so that they can pay the government twice as much money per household. And then the welfare state was like, well, we'll pay these women who don't have a dad anymore to just stay home, and per kid or whatever. That was the way it was for a long time, per kid.
Yeah.
And they would pump out some more kids to get more money. There's still scams like that. People who do foster parentage to fucking get money, and they're bad parents. Things like that. There's doors we could kick in, is all I'm saying. There's crust around the edges of the fucking system that would free up a lot of resources.
A thing that is not pointed out by a lot of people is how hard Black inner city communities were hit by outsourcing of manufacturing jobs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
If you understand the history, there was a huge influx of people Black people moving from agricultural jobs to northern industrial cities.
I mean, Detroit.
I lived in Detroit for a year, and I can tell you firsthand how bad it's gotten out there. Like, there's whole blocks of burnt down where the people you used to live there when they built them, it wasn't a housing project. It was built as factory worker fucking housing. Now it's a project, and that project is burnt down because there was no more manufacturing. The Ford and GM and everybody got the fuck out of Dodge as soon as they could manufacture overseas.
I think that there's a lot of guys who died similar to George Floyd or whatnot that would be alive today and probably be prospering if there was access to the same manufacturing jobs that were available in these places in the 1960s and 70s.
Yeah.
This provided a stable income for people. It provided dignity to these guys.
There was actually in the 40s and 50s studies done that the average Black family, like the nuclear Black family, were more religious on average than the average white nuclear family.
Yeah, no. That's exactly one of the things that Sternly pointed out in one of his segments too regarding that was, this is a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. But like before desegregation, a lot more Black families were religious. Now, I'm not saying that segregation was good, and that's not the argument that he was making.
Well, no, it's one of those things that is like correlations, not causation. It's just that
right.
What I think caused it was, like I say, the breakup of that nuclear family, get the women in the workforce, but also like the welfare state itself. And the welfare state is showing this. It took longer, but it's showing the same exact effect on the white population that it has on the Black population, where there's a higher rate of fatherlessness and a higher rate of dependence upon that system generationally. Not just you, but your kids also depend on the system basically their whole life.
On another thing that's being shown, and this is probably unfortunately going to hit African Americans a little bit harder than other demographics, is how feminized our schools are in terms of not allowing roughhousing, play, recess, sports,
dodgeball,
expecting these little boys to act like little girls.
Because little girls have a much easier time sitting at a desk for hours on end playing with crayons than little boys. And I experience that firsthand all the time. The little boys in the class want to get up and run and play. And because they're fucking 6 and 7 year olds, and they're full of energy.
On average, you can look this up. On average, African Americans enter puberty at a younger age, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, well, this kid is in 5th grade. Well, it's like, no, he's literally growing at an exceptional rate. He literally has more energy. He's literally going to have a harder time paying attention because all of this stuff is starting. Now, this is a distribution, and we're talking averages.
And then he's probably in a school where the teacher doesn't even care as long as he shuts the fuck up.
Yeah,
right.
And
the only time he gets any attention is if he were to act out, and then the attention is him getting sent to the office and whatever.
So we
Yeah,
can talk
and
about solutions. One solution, which goes against, once again, the sort of liberal bugaboo, would be to gender segregate schools.
Mm.
This is something that was just, it's common around the world still, but it was like common among the aristocrats. It's only really the public school system that decided that boys and girls should be educated at the same exact place, together, with the same exact rules and
Well,
in the same exact
because
way.
because separate but equal is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
We had an activist SCOTUS that
Yeah.
upended a whole bunch of the system. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, unlike race, I think that the difference between male and female is actually substantial.
yeah,
I learned a new one. I learned a new one that we
The-
can use before it becomes a slur, gentlemen. Are you ready for this? So, like, turf Twitter has taught me a new one that we can refer to people who are of male to female transgender, and it's called a moid, MOID. And the reason is because it's male humanoid, and that came from like lesbian turf Twitter. So based lesbian turf Twitter, they also share a lot of stories of men being scumbags and like raping and brutalizing women. Men out there, don't be scumbags and do that kind of shit, because like you scare lesbians, but you scare everybody because you're sick. Don't be a fucking weirdo.
Well, I mean, we should have a fair trial and put people that do that to death, in my view.
Yeah, by penis excision.
Nah, it's something, firing squad. No, I don't know. Rope, I don't know. I'm not.
well,
I'm gonna let the experts. I'll trust the
the-
experts on that.
well,
I'm something of a fucking execution expert, I think.
we've got Frank Castle over here. No, I mean,
I've played a lot of video games. Okay,
My
too.
whole point is that we're the only people that are capable of like actually solving this huge problem that exists.
yeah, because everybody's
And then
so
we
hung
all
up
suffer.
on the fucking like it's racist to even talk about it, shit. And I'm just
Well,
like the thing is, I've spent like as I said, as a music producer, I spent a lot of time around inner city youth. Wouldn't you know it?
yeah,
And like the hopelessness doesn't come from nowhere. The music is hopeless, or the only hope is to be a gangster. You get shit like I was recently even looking into, because like I don't know much about the modern rap scene, but apparently Chicago drill is the shit, right? And there was this dude King Von that was an actual like serial killer. He killed like 7 to 8 people, maybe even more, possibly up to 11, before he started rapping though. And then he became a famous like multi-platinum rapper, and he was just a murderer. But like that's cool now, but like it's because that hopelessness is in, so that grimy real shit's in. And so yeah, a real murderer and he talked in his records about the murders that he committed, that he got acquitted for one of them. That's what like got him famous. They got him on radio shows to talk about it, and then he would say too much because he was like enthusiastic about it, because he was a gangbanger, bro. Like I'll give him that. He was a based ass gangbanger. He was like, I killed my ops. Oh yeah, all day, motherfucker. I killed them motherfuckers. I shot that motherfucker right on 3rd Street. All you motherfuckers don't know. Cops can't get me. I'm just like, damn, bro. Like that's fucked up. You're a fucked up person. But also you're following that gangsta shit to the logical conclusion, which is a sad one. Because guess what? Guess what? King Von's dead. Spoiler. He got shot by one of his ops.
It's just an absolute tragedy.
And it's all hopelessness. They have a hopeless. You're never gonna be if you're not a b-ball player, right? Or you're not a football player, or you're not a rapper, or you're not one of these things that can make you famous, then your only fucking course of action to make decent living is to be a banger or work for gangs in some capacity.
yeah.
As a young man, that's just how it fucking is. And I know that makes a lot of white people uncomfortable. That's why I know so many of them. Those come one of the white people that I'm like, yeah, I can fucking see that, man.
That's a tough
I'm
life.
Down with it.
It's
a tough life.
I mean, at any time you could basically lose your entire investment. I mean, let's say you make $20,000, right, in a month, and then somebody fucking steals it, or
Shoots you in the fucking head.
yeah,
That's
or
another one.
you get caught. Now all of a sudden you get out of jail or whatever. Let's say they don't even press charges, but you got caught. You know, something went bad. Your whole shit's gone. Now you're negative. You owe money, right? How are you going to get more money? You're doing all of this under the fucking table, under the threat of violence.
Well,
You've got
here's
to.
the thing. Here's the thing about this guy, though. All he ever was a trigger man. He wasn't running dope. He was running guns and fucking shooting people. And like, even when he was a rapper, making all kinds of rap money, he was calling out. That's why I say there's possibly more, because like there's people from his crew that killed his enemies while he was rapping.
I can't.
Right? And then he would rap about how he put out a hit on him.
The fact that he didn't sell drugs and instead was running guns, I can't say that that's not like based.
Yeah, well, because he was a shooter in the streets.
It's tragic.
Like there's a labor diversification on the streets too, bro. Like if you're a good shooter, you're a good shooter. And Vaughn was a good shooter. He could do it, and he's stone cold about it. And then he'd go on Twitter. I'm not even kidding. Go on Twitter and brag about it. Be like,
Have they restored his Twitter yet?
I hope so, because he's dead. So I'd like to see it preserved, because that's just crazy. Somebody got in his DMs at one point too. One of the bitches he shot abroad, right? And she's like famous because she's a broad gangster from Chicago. They made a movie about her. He shot her in the head. He killed her, right? But he flirted with her for like 4 years and said he was going to make her his wifey all over Twitter. And sent her DMs.
So tragic.
Like, yeah, and then he shoots wifey in the fucking head, makes a song about it. They make a documentary about wifey, right? He's in the documentary saying how tragic it is that she died. That motherfucker was gangster. You could he's obviously an evil motherfucker, right? But like gangster to the core.
Did
but
he
that's what modern rap
hold
wants.
up?
They don't even care if his raps is good. They care about the fucking story because it's grimy. It's raw. It's real.
So here's my question though, Max. Did he like confess to like killing her and then go on the documentary and say that it was tragic that she died?
Well, no, he always denied it in public, but then he made sly remarks about it all over his songs.
Oh, okay.
Like he took credit for all of them in different videos of him on Instagram or whatever. Like he took credit for killing like 7 people for sure, but he got away with all of it until he got shot, because that's the lifestyle. But but to the young guy who's like 17 on the street, that lifestyle is glamorous. At least it beats fucking It beats fucking working at the fry job, getting robbed at gunpoint a couple times a week. It beats fucking waiting tables where everybody's a fucking asshole in fucking inner city and people don't tip you, and half the time they're stiffing you on the fucking bill too. Right? It beats a lot of fucking work you can find because there's no manufacturing jobs, as Shmuley pointed out. And all there is hopelessness. So if you're a gangbanger, you can go out on top like he did. And that guy, I think he only made it to like 23 years old. It's sad. It's tragic.
You know, I can put this into terms that like are able to explain it. I mean, what you just described is someone growing up in a low trust fucking polity, right? Where even things like paying your bill at the restaurant or providing a tip, obeying these social norms are just not obeyed. And so you suffer the cost of that. Then simultaneously, you don't have access to any sort of like legal above board work.
But there is
dignified.
One place you can find that's high trust. It's called a gang.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're the highest trust there fucking is. The problem is it's blood in, blood out. And but I'm saying it looks glamorous. If you're hopeless and there's nothing else, that shit at least looks glamorous. Maybe somebody will write a fucking song about you, or better yet, you put out a rap and you're a fucking shooter on the streets. People be like, "Yo, this motherfucker's real over here," right?
But that's what you do in a low.
And then
trust.
you emulate it because it's low trust, and the only place you find trust is your gang.
Well, you'll formulate a gang, you'll formulate a tribe in a situation like that. It's actually like parts of the world where you don't, that are the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
So here, so
And
here's
in his block, right? His tribe on this block, I think it was O block, right? Is the one tribe. I think they were the black disciples, and then the other fucking tribe was like the gangster disciples over a block away. And they're fucking their ops is their opposition gang members if they're in the other gang. So if you see an op, you shoot them because because we're at war. And they shot this one guy at the bus stop. I think his name was Tuka. And King Von would always say he's smoking on it. When he's smoking weed, you smoke on the people you fucking killed. So and that's why they say he basically confessed to killing that broad, because he smoked on her name, right? He's like, I'm smoking on some whatever the fuck her name was.
I want to thank you for like bringing this up, because I do think that more people need to talk about the actual conditions of the worst places in our country.
yeah.
It's shit. Tuka got shot at a fucking bus stop over a fucking $20 bag of drugs.
Yep.
Right. And then this motherfucker spends years smoking on him, like shitting on his name and teaching little kids to say fuck Tuka and shit. That's the kind of place that you live in. It's a jungle, baby. It's a jungle, and it's dog eat dog. And this is like, I'm not talking about like he's famous now because he's a rapper. This is like average gang life in Chicago.
Yeah.
So
the degradation, the desperation, and the sort of like conditions that citizens of our country experience every day. Now, granted, these are outlier situations compared to the whole of the country, but still, like, this is occurring within our own nation. This is not Afghanistan. This is not Ukraine. This isn't Nigeria.
When your whole country treats you like an outlaw, why not act like an outlaw?
Yeah.
well, so here's another thing that this is kind of food for thought, but right, we have no industrial jobs here anymore, right?
Right.
Yet we have a school system, and I know that this is gonna sound like, liberal hippy dippy shit.
No,
Here,
designed
there-
for an industrial society. You are correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have no industrial. We have no industrial.
They honestly banked on tech jobs being that.
But
but there's not enough tech jobs, and the fucking Indians will do it cheaper anyway.
Well, also though, think about this: like in tech jobs, or at least in like a lot of the ones that I like for my field, which is technical writing, like you have to be able to think creatively. In most schools, K through 12, they don't teach you how to think. They teach you
what to think.
Yeah, they teach you what to think. They teach you to show up at this time.
But the kids rebel. See, I'm not worried about it because, like, first of all, it's people like me or like the people I talk about, like normies that have kids. And then two, those kids are rebelling because it's the corporate. I always compare it to the DARE program for my generation. Where the kids are like, this shit's corny. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me finish my point though. So no, and I agree with you, and it is reassuring that people are rebelling, but boys specifically, what if we were to, I don't know, have classes outside, or at least have boys stand up.
I was a young boy that got in a lot of trouble in high school, and you know what the reason was? Is I wanted to go to the local agricultural school, which was in my hometown, by the way. Right? There's not many of them, but the one was in my hometown, where they did a week of classes and then they did a week on the farm, right? Yeah. But I ended up going to the regular public school where they didn't do anything of the sort.
My point being is all these boys get put on Ritalin and all these stuff because they can't pay attention, right? That's what it's
more recess.
What it is these boys are fucking bored. That's what it is. You give them something that they're interested in, they'll pay attention.
Yeah.
True.
That's, like I said, recess, sports. These are the kind of things.
Recess, sports, Boy Scouts. I learned more shit when I was in the Boy Scouts that is useful to me now than anything I learned almost like in K through 12.
I 100% agree, and I think that it's sports in particular are
Yeah.
very advantageous because being part of a group and having other people have expectations on you and not wanting to let your team down and learning shit like that is very good for young boys and good for their self-esteem.
I did
And
lots of sports.
yeah.
It really is good, and it doesn't. You don't have to be the best for it to be a good experience either.
Oh yeah, no, you're part of the fucking team. Now, obviously, huge variation in individuals' experience and whatnot, but like something like group sports,
Yeah.
absolutely fucking invaluable if you
I'd
wanted
say
to create a school that's good for young boys.
that undersells individual sports. As a guy that like focused on individual sports, you're
Mhm.
kind of underselling that because it is a group and a team atmosphere. Because like when you go to tournaments, like you root for your guys, right?
You're right. Yeah.
And it really is. Yeah, I would highly recommend martial arts to young men. It certainly had the largest impact on my life. I moved obviously into like kickboxing, boxing, amateur style wrestling, things like that. And it is always got an atmosphere of team to it as well.
I
So
guess I just sort of
find a sport that fits you is the real key.
True. I guess I sort of overlooked that aspect because I didn't think of that in terms of a school environment. But yeah, no, you're right.
Well, they don't really promote that in school because martial arts is quote unquote violent according to these control
They let them
freaks.
play football.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
Yeah.
And hockey.
I think that contact sports would be particularly good in school, and I think
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you that that's like
wrestling has its popularity in parts of the country, but like it didn't here. I had to do
yeah.
I didn't get as deep into it because we had to travel pretty far for the tournaments, right? But like we didn't have MMA back then. That's the thing. MMA is huge now. Like if you're a young guy, right, and you're looking for a sport and you're not really sure, like go try an MMA gym out. The worst that happens is you go home sore and maybe you learned something.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that like if schools were like allowed to if schools like allowed boys to be
active,
to be active, I mean, what you do is right. If you don't want them sitting in the classroom, what you do is you put the physical activities, more towards the beginning of the day, like in the morning. Then you wear them out, and then they're tired, so they're willing to sit down and then read a book or
just a longer recess. I think solves a lot of the problem, but they keep shortening it, and then a lot of places they get rid of it real early now, like second and third grade. Like Jesus,
yeah. Well,
kids, even girls, got to run around. That's why recess is universal. Like little kids have energy, man. If you ain't been around little kids, they will wear your ass the fuck out.
Yeah, no. Well, I guess, like, I guess
they just run circles around you, trying to make you play all kinds of stupid fucking games, And I'm the dad that'll just play along. That's why I end up getting roped into the shit. It's like, all right, yeah, you're a monster, and then you got to chase them around. You got your kid leading the fucking pack, and you're running with a fucking gaggle of 30 kids chasing you because you're the monster, right? That shit'll wear you out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess,
And then the kid don't even take a nap on top of it. You're thinking maybe he'll chill out for a couple hours in the afternoon. Nah, he's running around the house. So yeah, I think kids need to be a little more active sometimes.
Well, yeah, I mean, my
boy is the prime example, but that's what I do. I go for long runs with the kid. We're looking into sports soon, He's not age
I-
eligible yet for most of it, right?
I'm curious.
We go
Max.
swimming.
I'm
He
curious,
loves
Max,
swimming.
and you don't have to answer this like on air if you don't want to. But I'm curious. Like, have any of the teachers tried to like tell you that your kid has ADD or something stupid? What?
Yeah. Like his first teacher there, her name fittingly was Karen. I won't give a last name because that's too perfect, right? But her name was actually Karen, and
Yeah.
she she like we butted heads the whole fucking year over it. And I even brought in like a specialist doctor that we had him see, and he was like, "Yeah, no, in my opinion, you're wrong." And
My
all the other people, like she was just the one insistent person that we
yeah,
had to get him
yeah.
checked out. And so I actually got him checked out because I happen to live in a great place and have good insurance by a Harvard neurologist. Okay.
Oh,
I went
based.
because I'm not gonna fucking half-ass it. Okay, teacher
Yeah.
lady says there's a
So
problem here. I went and found one of the top specialists in the entire world, and he came in we did a video conference, and in the video conference she started screaming at me that I have a master's degree, and he's just like, yeah, I'm a PhD neurologist, and this guy is like not wrong just because you have a master's degree. She literally screamed on a Zoom call in my face, started screaming, I have a master's degree, and then her fucking laptop like shit the bed for a second and her cam cut and it stopped. But all the other people at the school, right, disagreed with her too, and especially once the doctor, like this guy's credentials are like a mile long. I went and found the best because I'm not stupid, right?
Yeah. So
She thought I was stupid. That's why she's yelling, I have a master's degree. But Karen can get fucked. But yes, you find that shit. And I come to find out she did that to a friend of my wife's family, right? Has a kid that also had her as a teacher. She did the same fucking thing. And they take him to a doctor, and the doctor says there's nothing wrong. They're just little boys. And she can't accept that. Yeah, there is definitely one of those people. But the thing is that in the field of neurology, and particularly adjacent to ADD and autism, in particular because of the rise of them, a lot of doctors now are taking the philosophy of not medicating children. And the fucking old school teachers like her that want to push it, that like you're talking about, find themselves now in conflict as long as the parent is there that's like, no, we're not going to medicate my kid.
That's good.
The thing that's not commonly known is that Sam actually experienced this when he was younger. They kept trying to say that Sam was like handicapped.
Yeah.
And they had to really tell off the teacher. It's like, no, he just likes crawling. You know what I mean?
Stop giving him the wheelchair. You're enabling this.
No. Actually, there's. I actually thought that Shmuley went back and like watched an old episode because for those of you,
I promise you, I would never watch an episode of this show that I wasn't on.
For those who were here for the Apex Gamma era, some of you might remember this story, but. So I actually have a pretty kind of similar story to yours, Max. So back when I was, I guess, going into kindergarten or whatever, my mom had a meeting with like the teachers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Basically, to plan like, okay,
like an IEP, right?
It was an IEP essentially,
Gotcha.
basically, which is
like, to be fair, you would need one of those just regardless, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so basically, one of the kindergarten teachers there was exactly like this, Karen.
Yeah.
She basically said, "Look, we've heard that Sam has trouble paying attention in." Preschool or whatever. So
just shove some pills down his throat.
So we like to put him on Ritalin,
Yeah.
and the school
No.
psychiatrist was there too, and the school psychiatrist was also kind of agreeing with this,
Oh,
teacher too.
I did leave that out. The
And
school psychologist in Karen's case agreed with her, but I
yeah.
blew that lady out so bad that she never showed her face at a meeting again.
No. So you're gonna love this, Max. So my mother was there with one of my private therapists,
All right.
at the time, and she basically says like, what evidence? So my mom asked like, what evidence do you actually have that my son has ADD or whatever?
Yeah, it's not
And
bad. It's not enough that you're fucking crippled, right? You had to have ADD on top of it, huh?
and it was basically it, like,
Let's give the crippled kid meth. Go on. Sorry.
No, essentially. So they hemmed and hawed, and basically they had no evidence. So my mom gets up in this teacher's face and makes it really clear to the entire room. She's sitting in like a conference room, and she says, if I ever hear so much as a suggestion again that my son gets put on Ritalin or has ADD without any proof, I will sue this school district faster than you can say, whatever. She said, I will sue the school district so hard your head will spin.
That's what it was with me too. Is I blew out so the psychologist lady said, I'm not even kidding when I say this. It was all on a Zoom call too. So like they say she talked like this, like one of those concerned cat ladies. And she said, she said, "Oh, when I went to do the test on your son, he got up and turned around and started playing with toys, and he was doing voices for the toys and telling a story. I've never seen any behavior like this. I'm very concerned by it." And I was like, have you ever been around children in your entire career? You're a child psychologist? It's called He Wasn't Interested in Your Book, lady. By the way, this was his first week of school ever, preschool. And we didn't put him in daycare because I'm home. Why would we put him in daycare? We're both home. There's no reason for daycare, right? Daycare is for people who work.
To socialize your kid.
That's retarded. I ain't paying for that. He can hang out with his cousins like he did.
No, but that's what the excuse for daycare is now.
I know, it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid. But yeah, he was at home with us chilling. We taught him shit, but he wasn't even preschool age yet. COVID happened, right, for preschool. So all the kids didn't have school for a year, including my son's first year, right? And then when we did go into school, we ran into Karen and the psychologist lady. And like I said, I blew out that when I said that, like everybody in the room cringed, right? And like felt real bad for her. And she never came to another meeting again. And then there was also the head of the special ed department was in the meeting, and I blew her out about shit too, because she was using words differently. They were saying non-preferred behavior. Now, in some cases, they meant non-preferred as in he doesn't like it. And in other cases, they meant they think he doesn't know how to do it. And I'm like, he doesn't know how to do it or he doesn't like it. Which is it? Because you're using the same word to mean both.
Yeah.
And yeah, she never showed her face again either. She fucking, and I said, I was saying, like, I don't like how this is going. And she said, well, if you don't like it, you can always put your child in private school. And like, I called her on that. I filed a formal complaint about that, actually. And she actually had to resign from that position over it.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is if you have a backbone with these people and you don't let Karen run roughshod, then the next year in school, he got a great teacher. And she loves him very much. And they had a wonderful kindergarten. And we spent the summer going to his friends' parties. And he's ready to head to first grade. Because you just got to fucking tell these people no.
Yeah, no, my mom actually and it might have been because my IP that this might have been the case.
And
But
Karen is mad, by the way. Oh, when we see her,
I'm sure.
when we see her at public events, she gives that passive aggressive fake cat lady shit. Oh, it's so good. It's so pretty. Oh,
Yep.
eat shit, Karen, bitch.
Yeah, same thing happened with my mom too. Yeah, the passive aggressive cat lady teacher
Because
like
a
tried to
new
make
lady came in this year named Ms. Washington, a black lady actually from a different district, who's actually dealt with fucking like real problems, right? Because she's from an inner city district and she got sent to our really nice district, right? And she basically told these fucking cat ladies to shut the fuck up. Like everything he's saying is reasonable.
yeah.
And that was the fucking conclusion. And yeah, my kid's the fucking pimp of the school. All the girls love him. All the boys want to be him. They all want to be his friend. He fucking goes to their birthday parties like king shit. They're all yelling his name, which I'm not going to say because it's, his name, but like whatever. I hear that everywhere I go with him. Somebody will yell his name at him.
It's just Max Sand Jr., right?
Yeah, Max, little Max. They're like, Max! Everywhere I go,
No,
But
I mean
you just gotta tell Karen to fuck off.
yeah, and not enough parents do.
Maybe don't
Sadly.
say fuck off. I never cussed at her. I never insulted her. She's the one that screamed at me, actually. And she did it in front of a Harvard fucking doctor.
My mom did curse at this lady, I think, but only because this cat lady was cursing.
If there was gender anything, I'd be cursing. I'm not gonna lie. But there's not at his school at all.
Thank God.
I know this for a fact.
Yeah, and I mean none of this stuff existed 20 some odd years ago when I was in there. So
But you gotta be active because also we go to the events. We go, we're part of the fucking school community, and you have to be. Like even if you private school your kids, don't just trust them. You gotta have some involvement. You gotta know who your kids are with.
Yeah, well, and thank you, because that's the other thing too. If you're involved in your kids' lives, you can make public school work. Like that is one of the things that
Bro, I can't take him out. That's where his friends are at, right? That's like the last, like that's the thing, that's the reason we had the meeting, is I wanted to negotiate,
right,
so that he would stay. And I told them I am fully willing to homeschool or put him in a private school, more preferably as soon as the Catholic school has an opening. If they have one now, we'll get them over there today. And all of a sudden, people fell in line. I started filing formal complaints. I started hiring fucking attorneys. All of a sudden, people want to fucking shine the fucking floor as I walk across it. That's how you got to be. That's how being a man is. Sometimes you got to put shit in order. You got to dot your T's and cross your I's and go in there with a spine and not just let them pseudo intellectual talk over your fucking head, but really get into what they're fucking saying and argue with them. You got to read the fucking paper. This is your child, bro. That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, the other thing too is like my mother just she does not inherently like trust authority. Now she's not like an anarchist or anything crazy like that, but she questions.
She don't trust the government, which is
she don't trust the government. So why would she trust Karen just to say, oh, I think your son has.
Yeah, it can work. It can work if you fucking crack the whip on them, right? You got to be up their ass. I text my kid's teacher. My wife does too, all the time. We exchange emails. We talk to all the people at the school. We're down at the school and all the time. We're just involved. And the PTA don't like, or the PTO or whatever don't like me, because a couple of them are Karens, but that's fine. The average people outside picking up their kids, because we walk them, because it's a very short distance away. It's like the perfect school for the kid. He loves it there, right? That's the tragedy of it, is I had to fight Karen off with the stick to get my kid into what is the perfect situation for the local school, because he lives with the fucking kids that go to the school.
Yeah.
this is like a family place where everybody has kids, right? Where I'm living, and so they all go to the same schools, and they're all right there. They're in walking fucking distance. It's perfect, and he's friends, like I say, with all the kids. So no, Karen, you don't get to fucking decide how he gets schooled. I'm gonna decide that as his parent. And in Massachusetts, I don't know if you guys knew this, but in Massachusetts we have an amendment, and it's a right to an equal and fair education, and it comes first before anything.
Yep.
So,
Well,
and I've invoked that fucking article of our my amendment right in this state multiple times at these people.
yeah, Colorado back in like the early 90s before I was born, like adapted something similar, and best believe my parents invoked that for me.
And I don't say this in a way to dunk on anybody or anything, but the one good thing about Massachusetts in terms of schooling is we do have the best schools in the country.
Yeah.
Like year in, year out for a long, long time.
No,
and there's a reason for that. And we do value education up here, but you got to invoke them parents' rights. And it's tough even here where I have all these tools at my disposal that other people in other states might not have. It's a fucking battle, but it's a battle you got to have if you care about them not filling your kids' heads full of bullshit. But like, not everybody can homeschool. Some people, like, how many people have two family incomes, right? Both parents work. And school, that's why they wanted to rush returning to school. Some people is the parents wanted to go to work and have somebody watch their kids.
Yeah, well, so that is
maybe that's not right, but that's the situation that people are in.
That is a big criticism I have of not you guys specifically, but like when I mean conservatives, I mean just like
just homeschool is real easy to say, but not everybody can do it.
Yeah, well, it used to be just private school or just homeschool, and it's like, well, neither of those things are really. So the thing that drives me crazy about conservatives is they're like, the public schools are broken, and they need to be fixed, and we can agree on that. But then they also say stuff like, just homeschool your kids.
Yeah, don't fix them, basically.
Yeah.
Don't fix them. So, okay, like, don't fix them, but I'm not with that. And that's the thing when you talk about like center, like independent voters, this is the thing a lot of millennial voters are going to care about, because the millennials are the ones with the fucking kids.
Yeah.
And they care about schooling because they have kids in school. Anybody, the youngest Gen Xers and millennials are the ones with kids right now in this country. Right?
Yeah.
There's Zoomers that have kids too, but the majority of like families with children are in the millennial and like the youngest Gen X bracket that are going through like K through 12. And to just say just homeschool, well, if both people work fucking 40-hour plus a week jobs, right, 60-hour jobs, how are they supposed to do that? And I'm a guy that can put this time investment into the public school, right? So maybe that's even easy for me to say. Some people out there, you got a dad who's a fucking long haul trucker and the mom works at a fucking restaurant. Okay. What are they supposed to do? When are they supposed to homeschool? You just want to cut them out and just say, fuck them.
Right.
Their kid gets to be inculcated with fucking trans bullshit because they're not fucking rich enough to afford one parent to stay home and fucking teach the kids. That's some elitist bullshit, in my opinion.
Well, don't you know, Max? Just trad life, bro. Be trad.
Well, it's not easy to get a one income fucking family household going.
Right. No, right. But again,
especially with inflation. Jesus.
Right? Yeah, thank you. That's the thing that, like, the whole trad life meme literally revolves around people thinking that it's still the 1950s.
I'm like modern trad as you can get, though. Honestly,
right?
Me and my wife have been together for 17 years dating.
Yeah,
and this will be our fucking, oh my god, is it like the 12th wedding anniversary? And we have one son, and he's 7, so we were married when we had him.
Well, yeah,
and we've been together forever. And like I go to church. People could say what they want about my religious status. We're a part of our community. We're out there, like I said, I'm out there camping, fucking meeting people. I'm out there going to festivals, and fucking my son gets a harem of little girls everywhere he goes.
Yeah, but Max, like that's what I'm saying though. You can actually like
I'm a normie.
you can actually say trad life, right? And
Yeah.
it not and
But
it not be
But I'm also like an offbeat guy too. Like
yeah.
and that's the thing, is like that is modern trad, right? Is being like offbeat, rising above being white trash. Right? Because like
Yeah.
white trash is an aesthetic, but it's not one I aspire to, even if I do have long hair and a beard. Like I try
Yeah,
to treat myself with a little bit of respect,
Yeah, well, you're also not aspiring to like wear shirts with Ray-Bans and have like, your Stepford wife like in a, 1950s.
Yeah. I got a Popeye shirt that my son gave me because I'm Popeye the Sailor Man.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Yeah, you're more like, oh, this is another thing that you wanted to talk about. Roseanne. I was gonna say that you're more like Roseanne more than like, Dick Van Dyke or
Well, because like if
something.
you look at the original run of the Roseanne show, it represented the Reaganomics era, a working white class very well. The topics, and that's why it was so controversial in a lot of cases, because the topics they were touching on was shit that blue collar people understood and dealt with. Like Dan had lost multiple businesses and jobs over the course of the series, right? And it wasn't like Dick Van Dyke lost his job at one point and then he just stayed home for a while, haha, and then he just got his job back. Nobody wondered where the bills were going to get paid. They were like making jokes about it. They got audited by the IRS. They were talking about shit that like normal families understood. And so she has more of a sway over like multiple generations of people than I think people realize.
Yeah,
because if you grew up working class, your parents were probably watching Roseanne.
Yeah, I actually like Roseanne now. I used to think she was kind of kooky. Like back in I mean she is, but like, well, I remember my first introduction to her was like back in 2012 when she ran for president, like, and I think she got into a debate with Ted Nugent or something, which was hilarious because
she's entertaining no matter what she does.
Yeah, well, those two together in a room are entertaining. Believe me, you.
And she is legitimately funny, and like I say, like I highly recommend the old Roseanne show, especially the earlier seasons. It's a show about the struggles of like a normie blue collar family. She has, and this is what I talk about. Like, why do people know? Why is no politicians talking about the 2-income households? Because 2-income households is the norm if you want to have things, if you want to be somebody, if you don't want to struggle to pay bills and have to resort to fucking all kinds of like payday loans and shit. You got to have both people working nowadays. It's very rare to not have to do that. And so like to ignore those people's plight entirely and just say, oh, I'll just homeschool your kids, kind of misses the point. If the system's broken, what can we do to fix it? Rather, like, that's not a solution. That's a Band-Aid. Thomas Jefferson was for public schooling, so were Benjamin Franklin, but they thought it should be funded by people voluntarily. I think that's a key difference. But still, like, we got these failing schools, and these black kids, like I say, they're not getting a proper education. They have no prospects. They get into the gang shit or other shit, just hopelessness, drugs, right? For all the bangers moving drugs, there's a whole bunch of people that just get hooked on crack or hooked on fucking heroin and just fucking die in a gutter. Such a waste of life, and it stems from a hopelessness in the ghetto. And I feel like able to at least speak on that because, like I said, I've worked with people that's their whole deal was telling that story, especially in Detroit. Detroit's awful. If you didn't know, it's really, really bad. Why do you think the most fucked up, weird kind of rap music like Eminem and ICP and even Kid Rock to some degree. Why do you think it comes from Detroit? Because Detroit's such a fucked up, weird place, right? And if you come from those blocks, you have no fucking hope. Hope for what? They might burn your place down next year on Devil's Night. That's what you hope for, right?
Yeah.
That's the reality. And so like if we're just gonna sit there and watch it happen and go, oh, like the left is just like, oh well, Black Lives Matter. It's like, what are you doing for that? You don't care about this fucking problem. Not really.
One of my
Oh, just leave them hopeless and drug addicted and with only like the only hope of getting out to be a gangbanger. And then like just wear a bumper sticker that says Black Lives Matter and it'll fix the fucking problem, right? Oh, you know what? As long as the cops ain't beating their ass, it's fine, right?
Right. Well, and well, I mean, one of my black friends who actually he's originally from here in Florida and grew up in like a really rough neighborhood here in Florida. He made an interesting observation to me fairly recently, which is that this whole trans thing
Right.
seems to be almost exclusively an upper middle class to upper class white thing.
Yeah,
Because
especially the women to male one.
yeah, because they literally don't have to struggle, so they make up shit. Whereas the
Yeah, there's some truth in it. It is a middle class white woman thing for sure.
yeah,
And the black guys especially don't like it, you know. But there is a segment of black guys that were like always in the closet that are now more out than ever. Like the on the download types don't really exist anymore because it's okay to be gay now or whatever. But by and large, your average like normal black guy is not impressed by what he sees in pride parades, right? I'm not gonna say he's completely disgusted by it, but he's just not impressed. Like it's not something he wants to be witness to. He'll say, "Go do your thing," but like keep that like dick waggling out of kids' faces, you know. And that's what they're running up against, though. Is that's like a normie black guy? They're just like, nah, the stuff with the kids is too much.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the gay shit goes a bit far, right? That to them is like the worst kind of resistance of all, right? The ultimate sin. That's why the black male isn't really high on their progressive stack anymore. Like straight black male is pretty low, actually.
No, well, I mean,
Maybe only one step above us, straight white male.
barely above us at that point. I mean,
Unless they're getting beaten by the cops, and then they're important.
unless they're getting beaten by the white cops, more specifically.
True. Yeah, when it's a black cops beating them up, nobody cares.
Oh yeah, when it's the black cops beating up another black guy in Tennessee? What? We didn't hear about that at all. Nothing to see here. Literally, just like those raised, just like Rodney King. But
so what else was there to cover?
We just covered Roseanne. You know, that was really the only thing. Oh, the only thing I had was the only other thing I had was Elon rebranding Twitter, kind of at this point, to X or whatnot. I mean, they haven't fully done it yet, but I mean, I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Or
It's a dumb name, and he should have just kept it Twitter. But I don't really care.
Yeah, same here. I will say this: like, I definitely think that like if they're going to build, if they're going to build, Twitter or X or whatever it is as an actual more robust video sharing platform and a commerce platform, like that. I hope it turns into something more than just
I'm just a wait and see kind of guy.
Yeah,
I know Elon's boy Mario Narwhal or whatever the fuck his name is suing Upper Echelon for $11 million is not good look, is all I'm saying. If you don't know, check out Upper Echelon did a new video about it. He's being sued by a friend of Elon Musk, Mario Narwhal, or however you fucking pronounce his name, for defamation because of a video he made exposing that Mario's basically an alleged scam artist. And he shows lots of evidence in the video. It's pretty airtight, a lot of it. You can go watch it for yourself. But there's a $11 million lawsuit against a YouTuber for fucking doing journalism. So Elon, if you're never gonna hear this, but if you do, probably tell your boy to like chill, because that's a bad look.
we ought to we really ought to get Elon on here at some point.
He probably won't come on because I just dissed his boy, but look, the guy does seem like a bit shady, is all I'm saying, and the lawsuit is fairly retarded, but whatever.
Yeah.
That was one I wanted to bring up, and I forgot, and you just reminded me.
Sorry. No, I mean, I think that's.
Sid Alpha did a video covering it as well. It's
Kurt Doolittle was on the, I believe it's called Common Ground, with.
I watched about half of that today.
Ruggard, right? I always call him What If Alt His because that's his video, but it's Ruggard is his actual name. And it was a great conversation. I encourage everyone to check it out and subscribe to the Common Ground.
I watched the first half while I was working today, and I meant to watch the other half. I was going to say after this, but we're going late tonight, I guess. So
the point of the show is basically you have this young guy who is really interested in the social sciences and whatnot, and he's talking to basically a sort of disaffected liberal type. And the premise of the show is just to try to seek common ground or whatnot. I find it admirable, and I think that fans of this show would quite like it. But he had a conversation with Kurt Doolittle, which overall was a pretty great conversation. Of course, we did an interview with Kurt that's worth looking at. One of the main problems I had, though, with it was that both of them started talking about IQ among groups, and they had a really cool back and forth, except for the assumption made by both of them was that average intelligence would remain consistent among groups over like 10,000 years or even like 2,000 years. The specific example was like Italians versus ancient Romans. I don't know why this is an assumption that keeps getting made.
Those aren't even the same peoples necessarily. Yeah.
No, I agree. I'm just using an example that was made. It's just an absurd thing. You wouldn't really expect average height to remain the same. You wouldn't expect pretty much anything else that would be so susceptible to.
And there's no way to really measure it before I think it's like the 1870s. So it's a guesstimation that it could be fundamentally flawed because I think you're right. We see IQ gaps again, like in Ireland from the 1870s, which was already after waves of emigration had left. Yeah. But not only that, up through to now, the average Irish IQ of Ireland, I think, is 92, and the average Irish American is like 105.
So I would love to have like Ruggard on this show, and we could talk about it. I just think that it's kind of a poor argument against people who advocate that genetics and intelligence, that is, play an important role in like shaping history, to sort of say, well, what about this group is less intelligent, but at one point they did this and this and this. It's just, unless it's a very small time frame that you're talking about, it doesn't really disprove the geneticist thing, because like
Yeah.
it's perfectly possible, for instance, that like medieval English people were not producing exceptional people, and then for whatever reason natural selection created some people that were able to have all of these technological breakthroughs, and
Well,
like in the
plus
future they might go back to producing very little people
it
capable.
it ignores what the boundaries of these like nationalities kind of were. Like people on the borders of different countries were getting married. It wasn't like a strictly enforced border. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the intermarriage and immigration of Europe is its own thing, and again in a shorter time span than 10,000 years, just like 2,000. And then when you open up the new world to it, you can see all kinds of IQ disparities between populations that have left and who they've left behind, just in the time since we've been measuring it. And so you can't make an assumption on times that we couldn't possibly measure, but you can make the logical leap based on that it probably fluctuated back then quite a bit as well.
Yeah,
For sure.
it just would, from
Yeah.
for a variety of reasons. I mean, that's why I kind of have empathy for Ruggers' view, which is kind of more kind of nihilistic on in terms of like being able to actually understand and make everything into a nice like scientific model. He kind of pushed back on Kurt on that, which I thought was good. I thought that was an interesting point, but both of them just kind of fail because of their failure to sort of point this out,
Right.
that it's going to fluctuate.
Yeah, indeed. Well,
Another, just real quick, another point that was like absolutely wonderful was they pointed out tribal people, right, in this. And what if Alt Hist was saying, well, I don't trust your IQ metric because we look at like Bushmen and they have an average IQ of like 55, right? Now, to this, Kurt said the difference is that if you take somebody who is from a population that on average reaches an intelligence of like 90 and they have 55, that person is very likely broken. Whereas a Bushman who have an average IQ of 50, they're not defective in any way. They're doing just fine. They're adapted to their environment. They have
Right.
built up the wisdom necessary to hunt and
They don't
fuck
eat
and,
they don't eat the poison berries.
yeah.
yeah.
And so they're thriving. So yes, you can say, how are they doing well with social low IQ? It's like, well, because they're adaptive in every other manner.
Because they've never needed it before, and
Yeah.
in like thousands of years.
Well, in socialization, I've always felt that socialization has a lot to do with IQ too, or in some cases, lack thereof. That's always kind of been my
Well,
theory.
I've always been of the belief that there's a genetic, like we got a cap, right?
Sure.
The highest that you could potentially be, and then there's things that can detract from and lower that cap as you go. But yes, education is like super important too, obviously.
Society and cultural trends
Well,
are.
what Ruggard was saying as well is like he got tested and he didn't have a particularly outlier IQ.
Right.
However, now he's doing sort of like intellectual work. And I sort of feel the same. I mean, I'm not a genius, I wouldn't think, and I'm interested in these sort of debates. So
well,
it's
if
the
you
same
look,
thing, but it doesn't take a potentially high IQ to read and study things and then notice the patterns.
You've read the founders, right? As much as I have, like actual what they've wrote. And you have to remember a lot of them were about the middle IQs as well, right?
Yeah.
Like it was a thing among men. I mean, the average like Catholic used to, up till my era, even speak Latin or at least be able to read it.
Yeah.
Right. Like these things have kind of gone away with the industrialization, as Sam pointed out, of education. And I don't know if we're gonna hit an answer here. And it's hot as fuck. And Sam had something he wanted to say that I think he was excited about. So I'd like to hear that.
No, all I was gonna do is first off, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everyone who has purchased Shadows of Instinct, my book here on Amazon. As I announced last week, the audiobook edition was released. It took a bit of time because for those who don't know how Audible works on the production side, you send a script and then your narrator narrates it, but then Audible has the final say for the pricing of the audiobook. And I believe they base it like roughly on like what your listing price for the book is, but like ultimately they determine it. And then they post when it gets listed on the Audible storefront, not you. So basically, like I submitted it, I did everything on my end, and then between reviewing what my narrator did and improving that, and then waiting for Audible to basically post it on Audible. It took a few weeks, but it's on there. That is to say, basically, that if you go onto Audible and then basically, like, what I'm going to do is basically copy this promo code one time, use, and whoever gets in chat, if you go onto audible.com and just redeem this code.
Shit. He dropping free audiobooks, chat. You guys love free stuff. You know what? And I even have some good new video game codes. I re-upped a couple.
Ooh, okay. Shall we do it? Shall we do a double header?
No, you're giving away the audiobook. That's the big deal. So
yeah,
maybe next week.
Yeah. So this week, free audiobook code for anyone who wants it. Go to Audible. You don't have to sign up for a membership to redeem this either. Just as long as you have an Amazon account that works with Audible, you can redeem this for free. Full disclosure, this only works to get my audiobook. So you can't
trying to pull a fast one on old Sammy.
It won't work for you. This isn't a credit where you can just redeem it and then choose any audiobook. Once you redeem it, you'll basically get my book in your library. But then I also do have an Audible referral link that I'll post in the podcast description, so that if you do like it, if you do like Audible and you want a free trial, you can get a free month and I believe 2 free audiobooks on us here at the Whitfield Report. So that's a pretty good deal if I do say so myself.
So somebody's going to get 3.
Yeah.
If you use the referral link and then redeem the code, you get 3 free audiobooks only from the Whitfield Report. Bitch.
Yeah.
Send them home, Sammy.
And read a book like an actual book, but hey, audiobooks are great too. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week, and who knows what will be going on in the news next week. It's been pretty interesting these last two shows.
It's gonna be tough to beat Hunter Biden with the fucking crack whore in one hand and the crack in the other, and the $1 million on the table for fucking Big Papa or whatever the fuck the big man. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. But UFOs and everything else will distract us from it. Don't worry, guys. Submarines and UFOs, baby. Let's go. 2023, the year of being a retard.
Anyway, Max, anything left to promo on your end?
Not currently. I have been in full fucking dad mode. Obviously, it's summertime. You got to get out there. That's my promo. That's what I'm promoting is get your ass outside, see some sun, meet some girls,
grass.
Go to the beach, go to a fucking fair. You know what else I did? I fucking cleaned my house down to like the fucking like as if it was brand new, just because I was like sick of like dust. So I pulled all the furniture out and just went full dad mode on it. I'm in prime dad form. I'm going to be 40 and I'm trying real hard. I've walked like 35 miles this week. I'm barely fucking eating what you would consider fucking food. I'm on like starvation rations. I'm doing it because I don't want to be 40 and be out of shape. I'm in pretty good shape actually.
Well, just don't. I mean, that's great that you're getting healthy, but for God's sake, don't die of. Don't do the opposite of like.
No, man.
Don't do what my stepdad did and like nearly die of starvation because you're not.
I mean, I eat. I treat myself. That's how you keep it going, bro.
Yeah.
That's the thing people don't get with all their fad diets is they end up breaking them because they cheat. And it's like the real diet is like to try and eat healthy and like every once in a while give yourself something nice. And don't worry about it so much.
Yeah, there you go. That's how you do it. But anyway, like I said,
get healthy, get outside, do some shit, meet some girls, get laid, stop worrying about the fucking internet. Oh yeah, and DeSantis should resign. That was the other one I really wanted to talk about. So real quick, DeSantis should drop out of the race for putting out a Nazi ad.
Oh shit, yeah. Maybe we won't end the show quite yet because my
wife's gonna kill me, but I had to bring it up because my God, he showed a Sonengrad in an ad. Now I know he just fired his whole campaign staff, right?
So this was a staff that retweeted it.
Yeah. This was a new campaign staff that just got brought in. Retweets a Sonengrad meme about DeSantis. He should drop out.
Yeah,
his whole shtick is I'm the less edgy version of Trump. Now you're more edgy than Trump.
Because the audience might be thinking, oh, okay, so he retweeted something with a Sonograd. A lot of memes have it, right? Just to be clear, like he's in it, and then there's their state seal of Florida behind him when he's on the podium, and then it superimposes it. It's the center of the screen. It's the majority of the screen, and it spins.
Yep.
For like a good 1/5 of the video that this guy retweeted. So this was not.
To be fair, he did fire the fucking guy or whatever, but damn, bro, that in previous elections, that's dropout material. Am I wrong?
Yeah, at the very least, that's like dropout of an election. Usually, that's like career ending for politics.
But I don't even know about dropping out. But like at the very least, the problem that Ron DeSantis has, and I think I've said this before, is that his main criticism, which was a good criticism of Donald Trump, was staffing decisions. But you don't get to make that credibly if your campaign is staffed by people who are this incompetent.
Right. Well,
you've shown nothing but income. Yeah.
Well,
you've shown. Oh yeah, malicious. I mean, maybe they all fucking hate him. I don't know.
My problem with DeSantis is that he's trying to be Trump-like.
Right, but you don't get to do that with them Sonengrads.
No, not at all.
Now you're Hitler light, right?
I mean, So the left, they love to do the Trump is literally Hitler meme, right? Well, motherfucker, I hate to say it, but like Ron, I'm not saying he is Hitler, but he's more appropriate to that. DeSantis is literally Hitler is more of an appropriate meme than Trump being literally Hitler.
Well, and the Nazis, that he's their favorite candidate. Like actually, like the actual anti-Semites and stuff. It's weird, ain't it? Yeah, no, I just figured I wanted to say, drop out, DeSantis. It's the right decision, and you know it. Back to you, Sam.
Well, on that note, touch grass, go outside, enjoy the remainder of the summer, stay indoors during like high noon.
Drink lots of water.
Buy Shadows of Deception. Second book should be coming out in September, hopefully.
By Dave the Diver. Game of the year.
Indeed. And have a good night, folks. Thank you for tuning in, and God bless.
Thanks for listening to The Whitfield Report on the NGC Network. Please visit Sam's website at www.thesamwhitfield.com and support Sam on Patreon at patreon.com/Whitfield Report. Until next time, God bless, God save this great nation, and God, freedom, legacy, in that order.